One. Hello and welcome. My name is Tim McCracken from Strategic Alliances. Thank you for registering and joining us today. We're going to keep this really short and brief. We're talking about the benefits of being prepared for that opportunity, which always comes at inopportune times. My business with Crypto Academy World, we have many customers who are now using these facilities. What we've seen in the past is there's been an opportunity to buy something in the market, and the market shifted significantly. And in the time frame for them to go away and organize their money, sometimes I've missed out on 3, 5, and in one case even 8x return, where his 10,000 would have turned into 80,000. I'd like to introduce you to the principal of Tiger Investment and Mortgage Brokers, Mr. Andrew Potter. Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, Tim, and wherever you're watching it from here. So Tiger Finance was set up for business owners so that they can take advantage of opportunities. And I think I always see the banks as the kind of people who give you an umbrella when it's sunshine, and as soon as it's raining, they start taking it away from you. And often I meet a lot of business owners where they've been to the bank said no, they're now struggling. So what can we do? So often we're always on the back foot, whereas I like to say to my clients, hey, let's plan this. Are you a seasonal business? Working with a seasonal business where they know that in the January, February, March, everything's quiet for them. So what do? They try and build up as much cash as they can in the preceding 3 months. The trouble is that always doesn't work, especially if there's poor weather. So we did a cash flow forecast and we said, okay, where are the pain points and where would you need some emergency funding? And what we made sure when we did do the line of credit application, it was done at a time when good income was coming through the business. Now, the great thing about line of credit is that you'd only pay for it when you use it. So although that line of credit sat in the client's bank account ready to go in the July of 2024, he didn't actually access it until February of 2025. So if we'd have gone to the lender in January or December, then it would have been much harder to get the deal through. I've got another guy who's a plumber, small plumber, just needed 10,000 to get him through a couple of the ups and downs. He had a pretty big bill that he wasn't expecting. Again, we're on the back foot there. It took twice as long. Now, we said to him, if you'd have come to me when you had proper cash flow coming through, we'd have done it in a matter of hours, but we had to jump through a few more hoops. And I think the classic one was the client I was working with knew that one of his competitors was going to retire. The trouble is he didn't know when. And so he was really interested in his business. And he went to the bank, and the bank said, yeah, we're happy to lend you the money. When do you want it? And of course, they said, well, if you want it now, then you're going to have to do repayments now. So he then came to me, and I said, okay, let's get this facility open. This was a higher level facility, so there was a monthly charge to it, but it was something like $35. And when you're borrowing $500,000, $35 a month is nothing. And so this particular chap, owner, he was there waiting for the older fella to retire, and he picked up the phone and said, hey, if you're willing to do this deal in the next 48 hours, I'm willing to sell my business to you. Now, of course, I don't think the guy who was retiring expected my client to act so quickly, but he was ready for it. He was there, done. So I think from my point of view as a finance broker, my role is to try and work with the business owner that they know in advance what they need as best as possible. And to, as the old Donald Rumsfeld saying was, there are known knowns and there are unknown knowns and there are unknown unknowns. And our job is to try and find out what those unknown unknowns are and for your business. And that will then allow us to get the funding in place for you, for your business to grow.
Can I share a couple of my real life examples
Yeah.
about pain,
Yeah.
right? I used to be a real estate developer, highly illiquid, right? Things like doing even though I had the funding in place, right? We're doing development drawdown fundings. The Sparky, he was sick. That delayed this guy. Then he had the plus with income. We go in there. My value does the end on the current valuation, right, of what it was, and we're 38 grand short, right? And what happened is that he said, well, I can't put a progress payment in when the work hasn't been done. And that's third party interference that you have no control of. So then I have to go to a hard money lender, right, at
Hmm.
48% per annum, pay their fees, 90 days,
Painful.
and I had to take the money for 90 days, even though I only need it in probably only 6 weeks, right? So it was horrendous. And look, this was a while ago. I just wish I'd come across you then. And it's just the lack of what it is. It's the emergency or something happens, or alternatively, is that I've found that opportunity comes at the most inopportune time. And being in a very fast moving market where I am, I've just given an example before, I cannot stress the benefit. And I say to my members, and I say to everyone in business, the best time to get money is when you don't need it and your accounts are looking good,
Absolutely.
because it's that now I understand you got a special deal for the alliance that we can waive the application fee. So that means that don't put any money up front. Just FYI for everyone, I'm now working with Andrew in the Strategic Alliance and helping people with their finance, also with the Academy as well. So you'll either be in contact with myself or Andrew, quite often myself or one of our representatives in the future. We sit down, we go through the scenarios step by step. I know that we've got into New Zealand at the moment. We've got an application in the moment, and I'll send a recording to the people from New Zealand as well. Also, too, just explain. You can now. This sounds quite unusual. You can finance tax debts, ATO, IRD, and GST
Yeah,
payment.
yeah,
How,
yeah,
how does
yeah,
that work?
yeah. So, just a quick 60-second recap. About 2 years ago, there was a new tax commissioner in Australia,
Mm,
and his job was simply to get the $30 billion worth of tax, unpaid tax, that number down. That's all the government said to him. We don't care how you do it.
mm,
We don't want that 30 billion to go down.
mm,
Now, obviously, when you're against the ATO, they have unlimited resources.
mm,
And one of the biggest misconceptions is that, the ATO have decided to write off my tax debt. ATO never write off any tax debt. They'll
mm,
put it to one side and say, do you know what? One day, let's see what happens to this guy.
mm,
And I've seen it very recently where we had a client where she was in a separation, divorce. That business fell apart. There was an ATO debt. She was lumbered with the 100% of that debt.
mm.
Now, she didn't hear anything from the ATO right up until she did her 23, 24 tax return, and it showed a profit. And guess what happened? The ATO was now onto her as to, oh, we've noticed you've put a new business, nothing to do with the old entity.
Mm.
You put a new business through, you're making money, you're making profits because you've seen your tax return, and very well, you're paying your tax for that business. But now we've come back for what you owe from
Mm.
the previous business. And she was shocked to the core. And in
Yeah.
that circumstance, and with other circumstances, we've got a couple of different means at our disposal. And I always say to clients is that the more paperwork you give me, the cheaper the loan.
Okay.
So if you say, look, all I've got is my financials, I've got my bank statements, that's all I've got, Andrew, fine, I can work with that. But with somebody who has got a property behind them and is willing to put their property up as secured funding, then that is a big difference in the cost.
Yeah.
All roads lead to Rome as far as the ATO are concerned. All they're interested in is getting their money.
Mm.
And there are some, and it's interesting to see the big four in Australia banks have shied away from refinancing the ATO, and
Yes.
it's now fallen back on um, more, if you like, fintech companies. So there is an appetite out there, not from the big four, but from other lenders. And again, we work with those all the time. So ATO debt we could work with. Um, I've got one going through right now. So the date is the 1st of September 2025. So let's mark that. The guy owns $138,000. He had quite a bit of equity in his property. So we were able to fund that through remortgaging, and he's getting 5.63%
Mm.
cost. Now,
Mm.
if he goes to the ATO, that 138,000 is costing him 11% plus,
Mm.
which he can't claim back,
Mm.
incidentally.
Mm. Mm.
So, yes, we went through quite a big. It took about 6 weeks to go through that because it's a refinance,
Yeah.
and it took a bit more work. But he's got a great rate. If you
Yeah.
can't wait that time, then we've got quicker options, possibly a little bit more expensive.
However, that short-term option can be refinanced down the track to a lower rate, can't it?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The most important thing is the strategy is get the ATO off your back. Because as soon as they're off your back, you can start thinking straight, start planning. Because the last thing you need is those bills coming from the ATO.
Mm. I'd like to share something I experienced this week, and I've just referred this through to Andrew. I was talking to a commercial solicitor in Australia, and I said, look, coming from a property background, I know what it's like. We have, all this work going through. All of a sudden, we get an unexpected incident that requires commercial legal, or you have to go and go and fight with the council for
Mhm.
approval. And next thing you know, there's a $48,000 bill to the lawyer that he can't proceed and move on, and it's not in your budget, you haven't got the money. And I said to him, look, we can actually, because he was actually interested in this facility for himself. What I said to him is that think about this, we can actually arrange that for your clients. So if
Mhm.
you're an accountant, real estate agent, or any other professional, or even businesses that are owed money by their debtors that are generally struggling, we can go to and help those people and get them the liquidity to pay and bring all your accounts current. And it doesn't cost you anything for that service, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, look, we're going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to put Andrew's contact details and my contact is below. We'll send this to you. Just remember, everyone, it's free to talk, right? Stitch in time saves nine. Prevention's better than cure. It just goes on and on. It just makes good commercial sense in this current market to put the facility in place now, even if you don't need it, and especially if your finances are looking good. So, Andrew, any final words?
Yeah, look, there's a download PDF that you've got access to through Tim called the Cash Flow Survival Guide. It goes through some non-lending options. Although I'm a broker, I also want to see if we can help you from non-lending facilities and strategies. It's free to any of the members through the Strategic Alliance. Have a read through it. It's got some really interesting insights.
Right. Well, I'm sure you're going to be busy, Andrew. So just wrap it, everyone. My name is Tim McCracken on behalf of Andrew Potter from Tiger Finance. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.